All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Layer 13, as we are about to get underway for the 9th race of the IESC GT season. And this season continues to have very interesting, unique twists and turns when it comes to the championship fight. For those of you who missed out, the first 4 races of the season were very thoroughly dominated by RZ and Valkyrie, who won all of them without issue. Race 5 was a wet race at Sebring, where he showed weakness, had 2 different accidents, and finished outside of the top 10. He still had the lead on the points after that. However, he ended up losing a good chunk of points to several of his title rivals, which brought the likes of Mead, Mead who won the race, who finished in the top 3 in that race, and Caesar a little bit closer to him. Then they went to Daytona. Valkyrie won Daytona, but he did have a significant accident midway through and was basically saved by a late race yellow that put him back near the front on fresher tires than most of the other people around him. Then we went to Le Mans. He got beaten by someone who's really only shown up to 2 races. He ran second the entire time, but did not win that race, although he did extend his championship points lead over his rivals. Then there was an off week, and then we had last week. And if you missed last week at Spa, it was a fantastic rain race that was very intense. The fight for the win continued all the way to the last lap and a half, and even past that point, there were positions up for grabs basically the entire race. A very unexpected winner, but one that we figured would eventually get a win in was NDL Didn't Do, which vaulted him seriously into championship contention. But more significantly, Valkyrie did not show up for that race at Spa, which massively changed the way the points battle looks. Real quickly, I'll go over the point standings as they are right now. At the bottom, tying for 37th is still Smidini, NDL Wypen, and AMS Custom Dips. They still have not yet made any more attempts at starting. 36th is still Tire Bearer with 130 points. 35th is Exolcera with 155. 34th is Grand Wolf 1221 with 180. 33rd is SVR Carrera with 185. That was his first race weekend last weekend. In 32nd is SVR Karki with 190. 31st is BDF 48 Gaming with 200. 30th is Redline FM with 205. 29th is Deed Speed with 225. 28th is Raygun vs. Zombie with 240 points. 27th is RVN Chaos Fox. He has 265. 26th is HYR Mall with 275 points. 25th is AMS Virage with 310. 24th is HYR Vasco. He has 345 points. 23rd is Tactical Fallout with 355. 22nd is NDL Avocado. Avocado won at Le Mans, dominated the middle third at Spa, but ended up having circumstances came up that kept him from finishing that Spa race he could have won if not for that. 21st is TFB Mad with 390 points. 20th is SDR Dremore with 435. 19th is FME Sports with 445 points. 18th is Now Prime 77 with 455 points. 17th is Camworthy with 490. 16th is NFL Racer 4812. He has 575 points. That's a big jump to 15th in the standings. That is RZX U5 AMVP. He has 775 points at this stage of the season. 14th is AMS Beast with 785. 13th is AMS Rambo with 810. 12th is AMS Indoctor with 850. 11th is AMS Mercs with 905. And then we get to the top 10. 10th is AMS Andrew 14. He has 930 points at this stage of the season. He's basically guaranteed to break into the 1,000 point range after a day's race is over. 9th is PM 221. He has 1,165 points. 8th is Prius Killer 8110. He has 1,295 points. 7th is Ludicrous Speed. He has 1,380 points. And then we start getting to the drivers that are possible championship contenders with one exception. 6th is SRG Schreier. He has moved into a tie with PTG Little Caesar, so the 2 of them are tied for 5th actually. Both have 1,405 points each. However, Little Caesar has said that he is not anticipating starting any more races in the IESC GT3 series, as he has turned his focus to another series within the PTG group. 4th is NDL Didn't Do, last week's winner. He has 1,430 points, which leaves him exactly 200 out of the points leader. 3rd is RZM Valkyrie with 1,495 points at this stage of the season. 2nd is PTG J Caesar. He has 1,560 points. And your current points leader is AMS Mead 212 with 1,630 points. So the big thing, obviously, is that J Caesar is currently stationed 70 points outside of Mead for the lead. NDL Didn't Do is 200 points out. Didn't Do, I believe, has missed 1 race earlier in the season, so he is trying to dig himself out of a bit of a hole, but he did have a respectable run in qualifying. There might be a chance that he can claw it back, The other possibility, though, is that Jay Caesar, who, although he hasn't won a race yet, has spent a good chunk of this season second in points. He may have a shot to try and close in on Meade. Meade did not show perfect form at Spa, while he did have an off in the last 5 laps and did have a Herculean recovery to third. He is not invincible. He finished behind Jay Caesar last week. It could get very interesting. When it comes to today's lobby, we only have 11 people partaking in today's events. By the looks of it, assuming that the data that I'm looking at is correct, it is going to be AMS Andrew 14. He'll be starting 11th. 10th will be NFL Racer 4812. 9th will be AMS Indoctro. 8th will be AMS Rambo. 7th will be PM221. 6th will be Prius Killer 8110. 5th will be Ludicrous Speed. This will be his best chance to get a top 5 this season. 4th will be SRD Shredder. 3rd will be PTGJ Caesar. 2nd will be AMS Meade 212. And your pole sitter is anticipated to be NDL Dindu. This is not Dindu's first time to start near the front of the field. However, he needs to be able to convert a front of the field starting spot to an actual great result, and he needs Meade to have some bad luck befall him in today's event. I do believe it would be possible for Dindu to take the points lead after today's event from not Dindu. It would be possible for Jay Caesar to take the points lead after today's event from Meade. However, he would basically need Meade to either drop out or finish dead last while he goes ahead and wins the race. Excuse me. Right now we're waiting on last few drivers to properly ready up so we can get underway for today's event. Yeah, those are the big headlines for this run at Hockenheim. Next Saturday, so a week from now, is another off week. I believe that will be we'll have a week off. Then it will be 2 or 3 more races. I'll have to check again. But then it will be another break for the Christmas New Year holiday, and then the last races of the season will wrap up in January. So we are now in the mid portion of the season, and we are closing down on the end sooner rather than later. But still, things could change. Still waiting on AMS Meade and AMS Rambo to properly ready up. So real quickly, I'll just go ahead and show you the driver list for today's event. Andrew, representing the Aston Martin today. NFL Racer continues to be the only real Viper representation, although AMS and Doctor is also running a Viper. AMS Rambo is running a Lexus, one of 2 Lexus drivers. PM221 is running the Acura due to some interesting circumstances. PM is suddenly now the only driver left in the Acura. Prius is representing the BMW today. Ludicrous is still the only driver in the Chevrolet. SRD Shredder is still the only driver in the Mercedes. PTG Jay Caesar is still representing the BMW. Meade is still running the Lexus, and Dindu is still the only Ferrari driver at this point in the season. We have had 4 different winners this season thus far. 5 races have been won by Valkyrie. We have RZ and Valkyrie. We have also had a race win by the following 3 drivers: NDL Avocado, who won at Le Mans; NDL Dindu, who won last week at Spa; and AMS Meade, who won back at the Sebring race on round 5. Still waiting on Meade to properly rate up before we can get underway for today's event. Don't know what the holdup is at the moment. Hockenheim has been a staple of the series for quite some time, but this will be the first time that we run it in the GT3s in this series. So Hockenheim has also had a reputation in this series for just having incredibly long races. In most of the series I've partaken in with the IESC group and other affiliated groups, most of them now defunct, but that have worked with IESC, The races here always seem to end up taking a lot longer than the officials intend them to. And not by like, oh, it's a minute or two longer, like 15, 20 minutes longer. This circuit has a history of making some really long, grueling races. So be prepared for that. Only 11 drivers, so could end up being a little bit calmer of a race. I wouldn't mind too much. I did get to cover Tora's 200 lap feature at the Eagle Rock Oval earlier in the morning, so while my voice isn't cooked, having a little bit more relaxed race would be nice. There we are. Now we're going. Alright, here we are. Going onto the circuit now. We'll see the field pull off and start ordering shortly here. Alright, so as you can see here, our first place starter is NDL Didn't Do. There may have been some sort of hiccup in the lobby, go figure. And we have lost someone again. Alright, well, we should be getting underway for a second attempt here shortly. Just waiting on AMS Rambo. I apologize for this long delay. I can't really do a whole lot about it. I've already gone through all my talking points. I just kind of want everyone to get onto the circuit already. Alright, this is take 2. So we know that our pole sitter is going to be Indiel Dindu in the Ferrari, and he is going to be on the front row along with AMS Smeed in the Lexus for today's event. Third place should end up being PTGJ Caesar. Game. What in the is the problem? Alright, everyone's back in the lobby now. Let's see what the heck's gone wrong here. Alright, take 3. Hopefully third time's the charm. Alright. I think we might finally be underway. I don't know what the heck Shredder is doing. Anyways, our pole sitter is going to be the Ferrari of NDL didn't do in the number 27. Just behind him is going to be AMS Mead in the Lexus. Mead is using the number 212. Behind them will be PTT Jay Caesar. Still looking for his first win this season in the 867 BMW. In fourth position should be SRD Shredder, but he's decided to run off on ghost mode, I guess, right now. Fifth place will be Ludicrous Speed in the Chevrolet, the number 40 Chevrolet at that. Behind him will be, I believe, Prius Killer, who is going to be in the number 76 BMW. Seventh position will be PM221, representing the lone Acura entry in the number 22. Eighth will be AMS Rambo. Rambo is the other Lexus driver. He is in the number 32 machine. Behind him is going to be AMS and Doctro in the Dodge Viper, one of two different Viper entries. And we've lost Prius Killer. I don't know if they're going to try and bring him back in or not. Anyways, AMS and Doctro would be starting 9th. Now it's been moved up to 8th for the moment. NFL Racer is going to be the second Viper entry near the back of the grid. Today, he is going to be in the number 53, and then AMS Andrew 14 will round out the back of the grid. He is running in the... I'm not sure what that is. Is that an Aston? Yes, it is an Aston. And now we're just down to 10 cars, I guess. So I guess they're not going to try and back out to get Prius back, so... This is a messy attempt at starting up, and they're only now doubling up in the stadium section. Well, we're only going to have 10 cars for today's race. You better hope there's something interesting going on here. I kind of hope I have something I can work with. But anyways, 4 different drivers at the front that aren't normally this high up on the grid. 2 of them looking for their second win of the season, 2 of them looking for their first as they come out of the final corner. 5 rows of 2. All doubled up as they come across the line. Green flag for a 45-lap race here at Hockenheim. SRD Shredder on the outside going to turn 1. He's known to be absolutely horrible in the first corner here. And that's not going to fail today either. He slides wide, although he will actually get a good run. A move past PTT Jay Caesar, moving to the 3rd position. NDL did do, holds on to the top spot. Now Jay Caesar gets alongside coming out of turn 2. The BMW and the Mercedes will be side by side as they come onto the back straightaway. I think the BMW has a better run out of the corner. It's going to be a drag race down the straight. There's the Acura that PM drives, tucked up right behind Shredder's Mercedes. Not trying to make a move yet. I guess they'll stay side by side as they head into the hairpin. Ooh, I really prefer this hairpin angle compared to the one in the last game. And PM will undercut them on corner exit, but that compromises his acceleration out. And Jay Caesar is already by. Shredder is on the outside. He's going to try and get by in the following corner. He can't. Shredder in the Mercedes slides offline. He is now going to fall down to the 5th position. PM moves up into 4th. Ooh, big twitch by the BMW of Jay Caesar, and now that lets the Acura of PM come up to the inside. Now the door closes off, and now they come into the stadium section. You can't really be side by side through here unless you're brave or stupid. As we see the back of the field now starting to single file out a bit. AMS Andrew in the Aston Martin gets behind the Viper of NFL Racer. He drops the tire into the dirt, which slows himself and Andrew down. They are now very solidly at the back of the grid as we see Jay Caesar and PM221 right on top of each other. Well, it said they were on top of each other. That is not the case anymore. PM did not have a good run coming out of the drag strip section. Now he has been caught by SRD Shredder once again. Shredder runs wide. Ludicrous runs extra wide out of the final corner there. And already Jay Caesar is putting pressure on Mead for the second position. So it is Lexus versus BMW here, for the bottom two steps on the podium. And if they spend too much time fighting, they will drag PM in the Acura right back up to them. Jay Caesar is tucked in right behind the Lexus's rear bumper. Mead outside. Here comes Jay Caesar. He's looking for the inside. He's not going to. In fact, he's going to end up going wide. We'll try to get a better run out of the corner for a better acceleration. But that car spent so much time bouncing over that outside curb, I think it was kind of lost. Or any cab advantage he could have gotten there was lost. He falls back in line behind the Lexus for now. The top three drivers all within a second of each other at this stage of the race. So with Valkyrie out of the points fight after missing 2 races back to back, it's realistically these two drivers, Dindu and Caesar, trying to put something up against Mead. Mead is anticipated to start all the remaining races in the season. Jay Caesar is only about 70 points behind, but with Prius dropping out, I don't think Jay Caesar is any way he can overtake Mead in today's event. And then Dindu is closer to 200 points out. He's going to need some bad luck to fall. He needs Mead to get overtaken by Jay Caesar, and for that Lexus to fall through the grid here at Hockenheim. Well, everyone is just having a nasty time trying to keep it straight coming out of turn 1 and on the circuit. 6th and 7th places, Lucas Speed, AMS, and Doctorow. They're kind of in a zone of their own. And then Rambo, NFL Racer, and Andrew are all put up together farther back. Dindu is just scooting away gradually. This is the opposite of what we saw at Spa. He was a higher place driver in Spa for most of the day, but he didn't lead a lot of laps until near the end. And there is a fight that is starting to develop here for 4th and 5th. You can see the Mercedes of SRD Shredder lunges to the inside of the Acura of PM. PM is trapped on the outside, can't do anything about it. The Acura goes over that extremely high red sausage curve, will lose a bunch of acceleration time to Shredder, so Shredder moves up into the 4th position. 4th has been Shredder's best finishing position thus far this season. He got that last week at Spa. Shredder is an extreme outside championship threat, but he basically needs bad things to happen to all 3 of the drivers who are currently on track ahead of him. And by bad things, I mean they finish near the back of the grid in big fields or start missing races. Jay Caesar closing in once again on AMS Mead as they go into the stadium section. They have a slide by both the Lexus and the BMW. The BMW slid coming into the corner, the Lexus slid coming out of it. And that Ferrari in the first spot has not pulled away as much as he'd like to. Oh my goodness, the Lexus is really sideways out of the final corner. This could be Jay Caesar's best chance. Does he make a move to the inside? No, he stays in line behind for now. Both cars slide wide, and now it's the run down into turn 2. Now, Mead is known to have a setup that favors extreme straight line speed. Jay Caesar keeps taking these wide entries into the corners to try and square up for a good line out. But honestly, if he wants to get by Mead, he needs to start making these moves to the inside and making them fast just to try and force that Lexus to get offline. If he keeps backing out and taking these wide outside entry points into the corners, Mead will continue to have the line that he wants. Here comes Jay Caesar. He looks to the inside now. Is this the time where he finally goes for it? Yes, he's finally going to go to the inside. Mead is trapped on the outside. Jay Caesar inside. On the drag race acceleration now, oh, the Lexus is just too good at putting power down. The BMW struggles to put the power down, and Mead goes right back into second without any issue. That moment of side-by-side fighting did give Dindu about 0.2 of a second, and that was just from them briefly being side-by-side in one of the slower corners on the track. If Jay Caesar gets alongside Mead for more than just a slow corner, if he's alongside in one of the faster corners, or heaven forbid 2 or 3 fast corners, Dindu could easily run away with this. Mead really seems to be struggling keeping the rear of his Lexus under him. He's got the extreme straight line speed, but he struggles to keep it under him coming out of some of these corners. And now SRD Shredder in fourth has actually caught these two at this stage of the event. So 6 different cars represent the top 6 positions on track. It is Ferrari, Lexus, BMW, Mercedes, Acura, and Chevrolet. Shredder is now putting pressure on Jay Caesar at this stage of the event. So while the Lexus is struggling, putting power down out of the corner, Jay Caesar just is not having a good run following. He is so much faster than Mead in these corners, but he can't actually make anything of it because he keeps getting caught up behind the Lexus mid-corner, and it's breaking his rhythm and slowing his overall lap time down significantly. Mead's opened the gap just a little bit on Jay Caesar this time, and with the Lexus' straight line speed advantage, I wonder if it will be enough for him to break away from Caesar for good. This is one of the longer straights in the season. Obviously not as long as the one at Le Mans, but this is one of the longer ones. The draft, Jay Caesar does catch it and will let him get a little closer to the Lexus. But oh my, he is so sideways out of the hairpin. And Mead is just parking it with no problem. He's having not a slightest bit of issue with traction coming out of these corners here. Jay Caesar also is now in a position where he has to defend against the Mercedes behind him. And speaking of which, that Mercedes SRD Shredder just went wide coming onto this mini back straight. Lexus again slides wide right before getting into the stadium section, so Jay Caesar catches Mead coming into the stadium section. It's not a great idea to try and make moves in here. This section is too curvy. You just take too much speed to go side by side through these corners. Dindu has opened up a 2-second gap on this fight for second, and Jay Caesar is right behind the Lexus. The Lexus is sideways out of the final corner. The BMW is on the inside. Does he lunge going into turn number 1? No, he falls back in line. Does not want to make a move. Both cars slide wide a little bit out of turn 1. Jay Caesar continues to hold station behind Mead. Shredder is right there ready to capitalize. I want to quickly look at their tire wear though. 29% tire wear for Jay Caesar. When it comes to Mead though, his tire wear is at, as they go side by side again, Mead's tire wear is at 18. So again, I anticipate what we're seeing is that Mead is going to try to do one of his single stop specials, and Jay Caesar may be on something closer to a 2-stop. So the question is going to become, what is Dindu's pit strategy looking like? Because Dindu has broken away from this fight for second, and if this duo spends enough time fighting while Dindu is just in completely clean air, then there is a possibility. And here comes Jay Caesar to the inside of the Lexus, side by side on the mini back straight, and it's Jay Caesar who has the inside line of choice. That Lexus really hangs the rear end out. Jay Caesar in the BMW is by, and now here comes SRD Shredder. Jay Caesar now slides a little bit wide coming into the stadium section. The Lexus saw the room there, but he could not get the power down, get alongside him. But now the BMW goes up into the second position, slides really wide as they go alongside the drag strip section. Shredder right behind the Lexus. Mead really hit that curb, something nasty, and now Shredder's got a run on him. So Mead may be showing a little bit of weakness. It's taken several laps, but it's happened. The big thing though, if Mead is on a single stop strategy and Jay Caesar and Dindu are on 2-stop strategies, Mead is still in a very good position to come back with the race win just off the back of not having that extra pit stop. It does seem like Mead is faster in a straight line than Shredder is when it comes down to draft application. And Mead used the draft of the BMW to suck right back up to Jay Caesar's rear bumper under braking to actually pull him away from Shredder just a bit, and now he gets to try again at Caesar, see if he can sneak back by. The BMW had a bit of a sideways moment out of the corner there. Mead looking, he slides wide again. All three of them slide wide, put their tires on that outside red curb. while this trio is fighting, PM221 is just about to catch Shredder for fourth again. Mead wide, Shredder nearly went off circuit following him. Big twist by the Mercedes, under braking behind Mead. And Jay Caesar is not breaking away from Mead, and that's the big thing. He needs to break away from Mead and start spending a bunch of laps in clean air, so that way he can make sure that he can try to counter any extra pit stop that he's almost guaranteed to have to make compared to the Lexus driver. This is your points leader in third position. Mead slides wide again. Shredder follows him off circuit. It seems like the Lexus has better top end, but the Mercedes has better initial acceleration. This part of the circuit here, as they come onto the back straightaway, we anticipate that Mead will start pushing himself away from Shredder and will ring Caesar in just a little bit. No, this time it looks like Shredder's got a little bit better run. He is closer to Mead this time than last time. Has Mead lost the draft from Jay Caesar? If he has, that could have some massive implications into how their strategy is going to play out. Oh my goodness, Shredder is all sorts of sideways out of the hairpin that time. So yeah, I think Mead has just about lost touch with Jay Caesar at this stage of the race. Dindu is about 3 seconds up the road from Jay Caesar. Big sideways moment from that Lexus. A little bit of a fight that I want to look at is this fight at the back of the field. This is a Lexus versus a Dodge. We know the Lexus can be fast, but it seems like the AMS drivers are really struggling with it. NFL racer, not to knock on him, I really like the guy, but he has just been preliminarily one of the slowest drivers this entire season. Not to mention he's in the Dodge Viper, which I don't think has really been balanced well for most of the season. NFL racer is just kind of here to try and have some sort of fight and have some sort of fun. But he's trying to do something against the Lexus of Rambo. I don't know if he's going to have any luck doing it. As again, we look at this fight for third. Shredder on the outside of Mead coming into turn 2. Actually puts the bumper to him twice mid-corner, trying to upset Mead in the Lexus. Now again, if Mead is under the mindset that he only has to do one pit stop and everyone else is going to have to do 2, then this might not be too much of a problem. But if he loses too much time fighting these drivers, or if he burns up his tires trying to defend against them, well, there's just nothing that can be done. Shredder lunges to the inside of the Lexus. The Lexus tries to cross over, but Shredder is there. Oh my goodness, the Mercedes is so sideways, having so much trouble playing power down out of the hairpin, but he is by. So Mead slips to 4th position. A bit of a twist. Real quickly, I want to go ahead and look at NDL Dindu and check out his tire life compared to everyone else in the top 4 right now. He is at 41% in his tire life. For Jay Caesar, who is running in second right now, he is at 45%, even worse off than Dindu. For SRD Shredder, who has just moved up into the 3rd position, he is at 44%, so slightly better. And then Mead, who we believe is on a harder tire compound that is going to try and go on one single stop, he is only at 29%. And then just for kicks, I'll show you PM, who's about 2 seconds out of this fight in the Acura. He is looking at 44%. So yeah, Mead is the only driver near the front right now who is not anticipating making a stop sooner or later. Jay Caesar is actually closing down on NDL Dindu slowly but surely on track time at the moment. Mead still has Shredder in his draft for the moment and is using that to try and minimize the amount of time he is losing to the leaders. And to be fair, it has worked. He has not yet fallen more than 5 seconds out. Pit stop here. It's not unbearably long, but it is one of the longer pit lanes. So again, if he can hold on to the draft with Shredder, even if he can't get back by him, just holding on to the draft and then picking up clean air once all the drivers ahead of him pit, probably in the next 4 to 5 laps, he should be in a good position. Mead has to get to about lap 22 or 23, ideally 23, and then make a pit stop then if he wants to make it a single stop race. For all these other drivers, they're going to be pitting around lap 15 or 16, and then again around lap 30 or 31 to the end of the race. Shredder is not walking away with third compared to what Jay Caesar or Indiel Dindu had when they were finally ahead of Mead. Shredder is absolutely struggling to try and keep this Lexus behind. That's not to say that the Lexus is just having a perfect time of it either. It's very obvious that he is really struggling with this thing. I think he is hanging out the rear of that car more on corner exit than anyone else, probably running an ultra low downforce setup to try and maximize straight line speed. And then he's just going to try and salvage tire life by the virtue of the fact that he uses a wheel, and wheel users by default will be slower on, not slower, but smoother on steering, and will be able to treat their tires a little bit more kindly. As they fly down the back straightaway once again, Mead is right behind Shredder. Is he going to make the move? He's got the position. He's got the speed. Does he dive to the inside? He will. The fight for third continues. Shredder trapped on the outside. Mead on the inside. Shredder having a little bit of trouble putting the power down initially, but then once it locks, he accelerates really well. Thing is that Mead's going to have the inside line in the following corner. Shredder will likely have to run off circuit and give the position back. He doesn't give the position all the way back. Shredder has the inside line in the following corner, but now the next two corners, Mead will have the position of choice. Shredder is going to cross him over. Nicely done by the Mercedes driver. Mead is on the outside. He's got straight line speed, but he's going to fall in line behind the Mercedes. And as this duo fights, Dindu and Caesar continue to slowly stretch away a bit. Mead tries to make it side by side into the stadium section. That is not an idea. It's not what I would call a very good idea. And second place, Jay Caesar is already making a pit stop. Well, that could be problematic. If you're only making a pit stop 11 racing laps into the event, you could be in a lot of trouble. Now, he is going to get a little bit of an advantage by turning a bunch of laps in clean air, but he's going to have to pay the piper. And what I say almost every week about paying the piper, the sooner you make your stops, that is going to give you a few great laps where you feel absolutely fantastic on track with great tires, but that's going to invert, and by the end of the following stint, usually by the end of the race, you're going to have some of the worst tires and you're going to hate yourself. And with Jay Caesar now having already made his stop, I'm not so sure this is going to go very good for him. Mead and Shredder continue their fight, but as this duo fights, they are now both about 5 seconds out from your race leader. Oh my goodness, Mead just completely failed to properly get the corner. He had a good line, but it seems like the car just did not turn under braking, and Shredder slid the car back in front of him on the exit of the corner. Shredder is probably having his strongest performance thus far this season, and Mead makes this gigantic lunge, and Shredder's going to cross him over, but he can't finish the crossover before they get to the next corner. Now Mead's the one on the inside line, which is where he wants to be. He hip checks the Mercedes. It's a drag race down the mini back straightaway, and Mead will have the preferred inside line of choice. Shredder is trying to keep it alongside. He slides into the dirt and is going to lose a huge chunk of time. That fight is over. Yeah, unless Mead has a big mistake, that big dive and send on the outside by Shredder is basically going to cost him any chance he had of bringing home a third position. And for Mead, although he is now 6 3/4 of a second out from our race leader, Indiel Dindu, now he can just start turning laps in clean air, just just hammer away at the lap times, try to close in on Indiel Dindu a bit here and see if he can do anything with it. AMS and Doctor has gone ahead and made a pit stop, so he will be the second driver who have already made a stop thus far. I'm really interested to see when Indiel Dindu makes his stop, when Shredder makes his stop, and then Mead, who we anticipate is only going to make a single stop, if he's going to lose any significant lap time from tire wear near the end of his stint. And here's something a little bit frustrating, I imagine, for Jay Caesar. Jay Caesar is not on track completely alone. He is caught up behind the Viper of NFL Racer. Now, this might help him in Sector 1 and 2, where the draft is a lot bigger, but once you get out of the hairpin, you want to have clean air on the nose of the car. So I imagine Jay Caesar, he's happy for right now, but if he can't get by NFL Racer and overtake him by the time they get into the braking zone, he is going to be a lot less happy. He's already by. It seems like NFL Racer did not have any interest in really fighting Jay Caesar. So now that Jay Caesar is NFL Racer makes the dive, and Jay Caesar crosses him over on corner exit. Drag race between a BMW and a Dodge, and the Dodge seems to have the better initial acceleration. Jay Caesar has the inside line of choice coming into the following corner. That should put him ahead of the Viper. NFL Racer tries to stay in line, but just can't keep the car on circuit. Now Jay Caesar is ahead of the Viper. Now if he can clear NFL Racer and get away from him so that the Viper isn't gaining any draft, Jay Caesar can start pounding out laps in clean air. The big concern I have, though, is that Jay Caesar, he's putting all these laps on nice, fresh rubber now when no one else can do that, but how long can he make that stick? How long can he make it last? AMS Andrew now coming into the pit lane. Shredder has completely lost touch with Mead at this stage of the race, and bad news for Didn't Do, Mead is closing him down. So early on in the event, the Ferrari was absolutely the fastest car on track, but now that Mead doesn't have anyone else he's fighting, he is chipping away at the gap between himself and NDL Didn't Do. That is bad news for Didn't Do, and that is bad news for Jay Caesar as well. So it looks like Mead is well on his way to winning his second race this season, partially because some of the faster drivers aren't here to deprive him of a chance of it, but also just because if he's faster and still on a one-stop strategy, he is going to have a significant advantage. And mind you, these cars are still on track, like this Ferrari that's leading. Their tires are nearing the end of their life. They are not feeling very happy at the moment. If Mead, we saw him struggling with the car earlier, but if he's not struggling too bad with tire fall off, and the car is just a consistent level of struggling all the way around through the entire stint, this could work amazingly for him. Yeah, Mead has closed in over half a second on Didn't Do this lap alone. Closed in by more than half a second, in fact, almost a full second. So yeah, Didn't Do is in clean air right now, but those tires are cooked. He is not having a good time at all. As you see, 66%. My goodness. Contrast that with Mead, who is currently in second position. Although, again, we anticipate that he is on a harder tire compound. He is in the 44% range. And we're anticipating, again, that he's pit around lap 22. You do the math, that's another 6%. I think he won't quite be as deep into his tire wear as everyone else when that happens. And even if he is, he's only going to have to deal with this really bad period of tire fall off once. Well, maybe twice near the very end of the race, but everyone else is going to have to deal with it 3 times. Once at the end of their first set of stops, once at the end of their second set of stops, and then again at the end of the race. If Mead only has to do 1 stop, he might be struggling with bad tire fall off, but that could only happen once. Again, as this goes on, with Mead continuing to hold relatively stable in his car and Didn't Do absolutely struggling to keep the thing straight. Like, everyone is really just looking horrible on track right now, except Mead, as the tires have really burned off. I see no way that Mead loses this race just because, while he's not fast in a single lap, he is definitely the most consistent and is able to take these tires farther than anyone else. That gap that Didn't Do had at one point been 7 seconds over Mead. Now it's down to less than 2.5, and Didn't Do is now coming into the pits. So yeah, I hate to say it, but this race has pretty much already been decided just off the fact that Mead is likely going to be able to make a single stop work by default. Unless he has something really bad happen, like the car gets away from him and he spins out, I think there's no way that he ends up losing this. Now, along with Didn't Do, Shredder and PM221 also went ahead and made their stop. So they've all stretched this stint on their tires to 15 racing laps and then the 1 pace lap early on in the event. All of the remaining stints should be slightly better, but I don't think it's going to be better enough for them to really claw anything back. And all those drivers are of the mindset that they're going to have to make another pit stop today. So now this makes me wonder about one of the other Lexus cars that we have in today's event. And that is not Indoctro. It is this man here, AMS Rambo. Is he going to try and do a 1 stop as well? I'm not so sure, because he's at 50% in the rear, so it looks like he's on a strategy similar to me, but not quite the same. But Rambo has not been as fast as the drivers around him, but it may be a case that if he's going to mimic Mead's tire strategy and can just be nice and smooth on the tires and only have to make one stop, he might leap way higher up the order than where his actual pace says that he could have been at. Real quickly, I want to look at the tire life of our race leader, Mead, who is not even at 50% yet. Yeah, this is basically cooked. Jay Caesar did get ahead of Didn't Do, and he is about 5 seconds ahead of the Ferrari right now. So that's good news for Jay Caesar. The bad news, though, is that he is almost a full pit stop behind Mead, and he still has to make the same number of pit stops as Mead does to the end of this race. The other problem for Caesar is that he pitted earlier than the Ferrari. There is a very, very strong risk that that Ferrari of Didn't Do can close back in on Jay Caesar as this goes on. Shredder had an even worse time. Shredder lost so much time staying out for that extra lap, for those extra few laps compared to Jay Caesar. He is nowhere near Jay Caesar at this point. But again, Jay Caesar pitted on lap 12. Everyone else is pitted on lap 16. And those are 4 laps of tire life that Caesar is going to have to suffer somewhere. Either he's planning to make it a 3-stop race, which I don't see that working, or he's going to really, really, really suffer near the end of this. This is Shredder here in the Mercedes, running in relatively clean air at the moment. Second place on track is Ludicrous Speed. He has not yet made a stop. Is he going to try a single stop strategy as well? He's only at 50% on the left front, so yeah, I think Ludicrous could mash Mead for strategy. The problem is the Chevrolet has just had no performance, no pace this entire season. I think for Ludicrous, this may be a good chance to steal a top 5, which would be his first top 5 of the season, but the lack of performance and pace in the Chevy means that I don't really think he's actually going to be able to do anything past that point. I think anything better than a 4th or 5th is just about out of the question. The likes of Jay Caesar and NDL Didn't Do are just going to be too fast. They will more than likely catch them by race's end here. Oh, Ludicrous is pitting on lap 19, so is Ludicrous doing a medium-hard strategy and getting his pit stop in early? That's an interesting one. Well, now we turn our focus to the driver who will now inherit second place back, PTG Jay Caesar. This entire season has basically been a season of second places for him. He is currently 5 seconds up the road from NDL Didn't Do, although Didn't Do is closing at the moment because Didn't Do has fresher tires. Both cars are in clean air right now, but Didn't Do, while it was a fight, he dragged that Ferrari a little longer on track than Jay Caesar did. I think this is just going to come down to a fight for second. Again, unless Mead has an accident or a gigantic spin and stalls the car, I see no way that anyone can catch them. Caesar is 30, almost a full pit stop behind Mead, and it's not like he's going to suddenly get it all back. Now, maybe there'll be a chance that once Mead pits, he'll end up behind Jay Caesar. I don't know how likely that is. I'm anticipating Mead is going to stop in about 3 to 4 laps. Again, Didn't Do holds station about 5 seconds behind Jay Caesar. But I'm really interested to see where that crossover is going to be if it comes. Mead, he is in the 55% tire life range right now. Again, he uses a wheel, and if you're able to use the wheel and you're confident and smooth with how to use a wheel, you can save a lot of time just on tire management. He is slowly losing time to Caesar, but it's in the hundredths of a second. It's not by full seconds, which is what Jay Caesar and Didn't Do need at this stage of the race. So NFL Racer, I don't think, has pitted yet either. What is going on here? Yeah, he is not yet pitted. He is in the 55% range. But again, for NFL Racer, I feel in the same position, if not worse than where Ludicrous Speed is. That they're just not fast enough. The car is not fast enough to really do anything with skipping a pit stop. Yes, NFL Racer might be able to pull himself up to like a 6th or 7th place finish when he's really only at pace for a top 10. But The gap in performance, I think part of it is balance as well, but the gap is just too big. I don't think there's anything that NFL racer can really do to get higher than like 6th or 7th, even by skipping an entire pit stop. SRD Shredder stays ahead of AMS Rambo and AMS Indoctro at this stage of the event. And here's the big thing, AMS Rambo, he is in a Lexus just like his teammate, and he is at 60% left rear tire wear at the moment. And if he wants to pit and cut this race in half, lap 23, he is going to have to struggle with a really bad rear tire for a while. Mead is going to struggle as well, but not nearly as bad and not nearly as long as Rambo is. Ooh, the Dodge hits the Lexus in behind, and Indoctro has a run. Can't get it worked through here, but Rambo is really sideways, and he's off circuit. Slides right off circuit, and Indoctro goes right by without issue. So tire management is the name of the game. Dindu has not closed in on Jay Caesar at all after the pit stops. So maybe Caesar has figured out a way to stabilize. NFL racer is now making his stop. It's not quite halfway through the race, but he has made his stop now, more than likely committing to a single stop strategy. Oh, and the Lexus of Rambo slides off circuit. The gap between second and third has opened up to about 6 seconds at the moment. So I do think that Jay Caesar is able to manage the tires a little better than he led on, but he pitted so early on the first stint that he's going to have to pay that back somewhere. And even if he just has to stay out an extra 2 laps in this stint and then extra 2 laps in the final stint, those tires are really, really going to hurt him. But we saw Dindu wasn't exactly doing great on worn tires either. There is a legit question about how the second place fight is going to turn out between the BMW of Jay Caesar and the Ferrari of Indiel Dindu. Jay Caesar is legitimately closing down on Mead as well at this stage of the race, but he is only now starting to close in by chunks big enough that there's a shot of him catching. He needed to be closing by this much many laps ago. As we see our leader come across the line to start lap 22, he is at 61.2% left rear tire wear, and he's got to crank out 2 more laps of this. So he could be not quite into the 70% left rear tire wear by the time he finally makes his stop. Now, if he stops early, it's just going to make his tires even worse later. So I imagine Mead, who has been very patient when it comes to his tire strategy, he will go ahead and decide to stay out on the set of tires longer, pay the price now to have just as bad, if not slightly better tires in the second stint. But Jay Caesar is absolutely plugging away at the gap. It is now less than 25 seconds, less than 23 seconds to be exact. Jay Caesar is absolutely running him down. But again, Caesar and Mead both have another pit stop to make. I also think that Mead's gotten past the worst of the sliding that car has had as well, so credit where credit is due there. I don't think Mead has to worry about the car sliding out on him way more than that Ferrari of Dindu was struggling with. And even now, even though Dindu stayed out 4 laps longer than Caesar, Dindu is losing ground to Jay Caesar on track. Jay Caesar is now less than 22 seconds out from Mead, and if Mead knows what he's doing, he's going to want to stay out for another lap past this. Yep, he's staying out for another lap. The thing is that he's basically an entire sector away. Oh, and he's into the dirt. Not massively into the dirt, but he definitely dropped tires into the dirt there. Jay Caesar continues to close down. Mead is sideways again out of 1. There is a different fight that is developing now that I didn't think would happen. This is PM221 and Ludicrous speed. Ludicrous should be on tires that can take him to the end. PM is going to have to pit again, though. And then just behind him is AMS Rambo, who is in that Lexus that is really, really struggling when it comes to tire life right now. Ludicrous is going to have to stretch this set of tires farther than basically everyone else, unless he's doing a 2-stop and he's trying to go medium, soft, soft, because he knows he can't make the softs last the full 15 laps. That could be a strategy. But I think realistically, PM is a little faster. As long as tire wear doesn't completely bottle everything. I think that Ludacris will probably get 6th, but I don't know about 5th or anything else. There are several drivers who are on more than likely a single stop strategy here. Oh, PM is right alongside. And mind you, these two, they have a long history. They were the two drivers fighting for the championship in IESC GT way back in 2018, a championship that went down to the season finale at Nürburgring Nordschleife. A last lap overtake is what gave Ludacris the final race win and the championship in that scenario. But these two have not spent a lot of time racing against each other since early 2019. Now they've spent several races this season together, and they go after each other time and time and time again. Our leader, Mead, has fallen to 17.4 seconds, if not less, ahead of Jay Caesar, and he still has not yet pitted, I think. Yeah, I think Mead is stayed out for an extra lap, so Mead is burning up the tires now, but he'll have better tires in the final sense of the race. But Jay Caesar is absolutely closing the gap. Is Mead trying to give Jay Caesar some false hope? Because all this time that Jay Caesar is making up now is going to fade away in the final stint of the event. I wonder also if Rambo is going to go ahead and try to pit this lap as well or not. Also, NDL Didn't Do has now fallen to 7 seconds off of Jay Caesar. So now in the middle stage of the race, Jay Caesar by far is the fastest driver on track. The question, of course, is going to be, how is he going to manage the tires to the end? Because he pitted so much earlier than everyone else. And it looks like PM is pulled away from Ludacris for the moment. As I take a look at Mead, who is your race leader. Again, I thought for sure he would have pitted by now, but he has not, and he is at 69% on the left rear tire. He's going to be at 70%. You can see it, and now you can hear how much he is struggling. So this is the amount of struggle that we saw Didn't Do struggling for the last two. Oh my goodness, good lord. The good news is, with Mead struggling all this much now, he will be struggling less at the end of the race. He just needs to keep it out of the dirt. He can afford to lose a little bit of time. He just needs to not hit the dirt. But the gap has now shrunk to 13 seconds. Jay Caesar is still running him down. And again, Mead will be dealing with some level of similar tire wear near the end of the race, but so will Caesar. All right, here comes Mead. He's coming into the pits now. Where is he going to end up relative to the second, third, and fourth place drivers? I anticipate he'll be behind Caesar, will be behind Didn't Do, and will be ahead of Shredder. And Caesar is pitting as well. Caesar is pitting at the same time as Mead. What is this? Well, this basically takes Jay Caesar out of contention for race win, because now he's going to be matched Mead on strategy, but while he is matched on strategy, he does not have the pace, I think, to run Didn't Do down, at least not enough with the amount of time left. We're only going to have about 21 laps left for Jay Caesar to close down a 13-second gap, and Mead is more than likely going to have better tire life to the end than Jay Caesar. I think that move may have just taken Jay Caesar out of contention for this win. But now the Ferrari of NDL Didn't Do goes back to the lead. Mead, interestingly enough, he's going to be behind SRD Shredder once again. Now he's not right behind him. It's going to take him a few laps to catch back to him, but he's going to be behind him once more. AMS Indoctro has made his stop as well, so Indoctro just seems to be mirroring Mead's pit strategy. So here's this fight for fourth right now, as Jay Caesar on fresh tires came out just ahead of PM221. PM has kind of gapped Ludacris a bit. He's close enough to maybe give the BMW driver a little bit of pressure. But I gotta say, for both the race win and the championship fight, I think Jay Caesar is now in a really untenable position. He is about 10 seconds behind Mead, and he needs to help that his tires can hold together better than Mead's to the end of this race. He needs to catch him on track and overtake him. I don't see that happening. Jay Caesar pitted on lap 12, then pitted again on lap 24. Is Jay Caesar potentially, is he committed to a 3-stop strategy? The big thing is, he'll be stupid bad fast for much of the race if he's committed to a 3-stop, but he's going to be giving up so much more time than just about everyone else. See, PM has absolutely left Ludacris Speed in the dirt. The big thing, though, is that Ludacris Speed, he'll have to be careful with his tires, but I think he can make it to the end without pitting. That's going to likely be the big thing that decides that. So it looks like Jay Caesar has pulled away from PM a little bit here. Not a lot, but a little bit. Most of the other fights on track have pretty much evaporated. And Jay Caesar, he's about 8.6 seconds behind Meade at the moment on track. Dindu is currently first, but we know that that Ferrari will have to make another stop likely in the next 4 laps. And when he pushed his tires long into the first stint, he was really, really struggling, gave up a lot of time to Meade, and I anticipate we'll see the same thing again. Same with Shredder, who is in second. He also gave up a lot of time to Meade as well. I think Jay Caesar may have had no choices due to his tire wear. He might have committed to a 3-stop. And Jay Caesar's faster than me, but I don't think he's so much faster that he can outrun 2 whole pit stops. 1 pit stop, maybe. We saw how much Meade was struggling at the end. But 2 pit stops, I don't see that happening. Other thing to consider is that AMS Rambo, who currently runs in the 10th position, is at risk of going a lap down in the Lexus. Now, he's made his 1 stop. He's likely not going to stop again for the rest of the race, while everyone behind him will pit. But Jay Caesar's only about 30 seconds behind AMS not Jay Caesar. Meade is only about 22 seconds behind, and he's not going to pit again. So there's a high likelihood that Meade will catch Rambo before this race is over, based just on how much Rambo struggled in the first stint of the event. Oh! The setup on that Lexus is not happy either. Forget tire struggles, the setup is just not very good in Rambo's hands. He is not comfortable with that thing at all. Okay, so here's something of interest. Jay Caesar is closing on Meade as this is going on. If somehow Jay Caesar makes it to the end without stopping again, he could be on track to sneak by Meade, but it would be in the closing laps, and that would assume that nothing really big changes, and Rambo's already fallen a lap down to Dindu. And mind you, Dindu, we anticipate he's going to stay out on track for about another 3 or 4 laps before he pits. So yeah, Rambo has not been a good time. It looks like a lap down finish is all but guaranteed for him. Whatever setup he has on that car has just not been good to him. There are potential fights on track. PM221 is still close enough to Jay Caesar to give him problems if Jay Caesar has an incident. Farther back, though, Andrew and Doctorow are in 7th and 8th, and they're close enough to watch each other, but they're not really close enough to start really fighting and making moves on one another. Andrew currently has the advantage. So real quickly, I want to go ahead and look at our contenders for the win. This is Indiel Dindu, our race leader. He's at 50% on the left side tires at right now. In second place behind him by about 15 seconds, it is SRD Shredder. He is at 52%, but it's more on the left front than the rear. So Shredder should have a better run out of the corners, but is going to be slower getting into and through the corners. Then we go ahead to Meade. Meade, who we anticipate is not going to make another stop to the end of this race. He is at only 10%, so he is going to be flying fine for most of the rest of the day. And then Jay Caesar, who pitted only about 4 or so laps ago, he is at 16% wear right now. And he is still closing on Meade. He is still taking away Meade's advantage right now. But the same thing that's cost the Acura driver that won 5 races this season, RZM Valkyrie, good runs and dominant performances, tire life, seems to be catching Jay Caesar out right now. I think our top 4 are the only ones who are really in contention for winning this race, and Jay Caesar, he needs to pull off some kind of crazy Herculean effort to not pit again if he wants to make that happen. And when he made his stops, I think it's more likely that he committed early to a 3-stop strategy, realized that there was no recovery, and just kind of said, look, I just want to minimize incidents, so I'm just going to pit 3 times instead. He'll be faster than most of the field for a large chunk of the race, but he would lose so much time in pit road. And if the fight's between first, second, and third, well, Mead is not closed massively on Shredder yet, but the gap is shrinking. And Dindu is 23 seconds up the road from Mead. But after Dindu pits, he is going to have fresher tires than Mead, and will have to run the Lexus down. But running him down is one thing, passing him is going to be something else. Reminder, Dindu and Mead started on the front row, but Dindu technically had the top spot and was able to hold on to it and keep Mead on his outside and behind him. We have not seen the Ferrari actually make an overtake for that position thus far today. So even if Dindu has better tires in the sprint to the end compared to compared to Mead, I'm not sure if it's going to happen. The one good news, or the really good news for Dindu, is he is on completely clean track at the moment, and he is not hemorrhaging the massive amounts of time that we saw him hemorrhage at the end of the first stint on his tires. He is definitely losing time, but it's not as bad as it was in his first stint. But he's going to have to do this all over again in the run to the end. He is pulling away from Shredder, though. Shredder has not been able to make the tires go as long as Dindu has, and still maintain speed. And this is Mead. Mead is closing down on Shredder, and he is closing on Dindu, but not by a whole lot. Big thing, though, we saw earlier that Mead, he's not blitzing fast over a single lap, and he is struggling with the car under him, but his struggles are a little bit more even throughout. Now, he did push the first stint on the tires a lap longer than halfway, so Mead's tires at the end of this race are going to be happier than where they were at the end of the first stint, and I think that might end up being, if Mead pulls off this win, I think that might end up being what gives him that victory. Jay Caesar has closed in to about 5 seconds, a little less than 5 seconds, behind Mead at this stage of the event, so the BMW driver continues to close on the Lexus. Fight between 7th and 8th continues, though, as Indoctro continues to hold station over Andrew right now. It is Dodge over BMW, I believe. No, that's not BMW, that is Aston Martin. I keep forgetting we do have an Aston in this series. Astons were moderately popular in the early races of the season, but most of the drivers who ran Aston dropped out early on, so... So if Jay Caesar makes another stop, he will likely drop back to this fight between Indoctro and Andrew. Now, granted, he's probably not going to make that stop for another 5 laps, so he has time to pull away from this group. But Jay Caesar would likely fall back to the 6th position and would have to, at bare minimum, try to catch Ludicrous Speed and PM221 and overtake the two of them just to try and seal a 4th place position. And as this goes on, I see no way that Jay Caesar can make this a 2-stop race when his second stop was right at halfway. That would require Herculean drives. I just don't see him having and making work. Indoctro has gone off into the dirt. Indoctro has slid into the dirt. Where in the devil? He has gone so far off. He'll finally merge back on, but he has fallen behind Andrew in the Aston. What happened there? Is there damage to the car? No damage, but he lost so much time that now he's not streaking away with 7th. He is now going to have to defend against 9th place here. So a significant loss in time for the Dodge of AMS Indoctro. All right, what about our race leader? NDL Dindu, is he going to pit this lap? Is Shredder going to pit this lap? Yes, Dindu is coming in. So Mead more than likely will inherit the race lead here. Shredder, I anticipate, is going to pit along with Dindu. I don't really think that Shredder has a shot at winning this. I think right now, just because the gap that Shredder has to Dindu and the fact that he's worse on the older tires than Dindu, I think it's really just going to be between NDL Dindu and AMS Mead, as the leaders have come into the pits and Mead inherits the lead once more. So Dindu does lead that lap 31, the end of lap 31, just because of where his pit box is. But yeah, PM is going to go ahead and pit again. Mead goes off circuit there. And Jay Caesar is actually close to the gap between himself and second. It is now less than 3 seconds at the moment. But again, Jay Caesar has a tire advantage, but is anticipated to stop in about 4 laps. Now, if Jay Caesar catches Mead, and the two of them fight for a while, that could help Dindu out. Here's the interesting thing. Dindu, he is now about 14 seconds, about 13 and a half seconds to be a little bit closer to reality. Behind AMS Mead, he's going to have a tire advantage to the end of this race. But with 14 laps left in the event, or 15 laps left in the event, will Dindu have enough of a tire advantage to close down on Mead? Mead's gotten the worst of his tires out of the way. He's already paid the piper. Dindu has not paid the piper, but he's not really gotten an advantage either from him. Jay Caesar is now within 3 seconds of Mead, and Mead is sliding around on these tires again. As I look on the telemetry, 22%. And then Jay Caesar, who's just behind, closing in. 36%. You cut 46 into 4 equal parts, and you can't quite do that. But what Jay Caesar might do is he might drive 12 laps, 13 laps, and 13 laps as his tires. And his first stint was on 12. He went 12 laps. His second stint, he went 12 laps. This stint, he might push out to 13 laps. And then the final stint, he might push out to 13 laps as well. He's gotten down to within less than 2 seconds of Mead at this stage of the event. And again, if Jay Caesar catches Mead and the two of them fight for a bit, that will help Dindu close down the gap between himself and the Lexus. And I've said this so many times though, catching is one thing, passing is another. It took Jay Caesar the better part of 8 laps to get by Mead. Mead is not one of the faster drivers on track today. It's probably only the 3rd or 4th fastest. I would say probably closer to 4th. But tires are going to be the big thing here. Gap is almost down to 1.5 seconds. And Dindu has closed the gap to himself and Mead to less than 13 seconds. Still interested about 4th place, Ludicrous Speed. He's not likely to make another stop today, but his tires are going to be really screaming at him at the end here. PM has already made a 2nd stop, and he's going to be trying to run down Ludicrous, and that will be a fight more than likely for the 5th and 6th spots on track. And then, again, I'm anticipating that Jay Caesar is going to be pitting in about 3 laps here. He's almost caught Mead, though. And if these two spend some time fighting, that will help Dindu, I think, more than anything else. But for the championship, reminder, Dindu is 200 points out from Mead coming into this race. And you earn about 225 for winning a race, but coming home in last, 23rd, I believe you get 105 points for that, or 110 points for that. So, if you're only closing by about 10, 15 points here, that's not going to be enough for Dindu. He'll need some bigger gains and closes than that. But again, this is not over yet. AMS Andrew in 9th is making, will likely be his final stop of the day. Dindu is within 12 seconds of the leader now, so he continues to slowly take away from Mead's advantage, and Jay Caesar has caught Mead. Again, if this duo starts fighting, there is a very, very high likelihood that Dindu can capitalize and get some extra time closed on this fight. BMW right behind the Lexus. Oh, the BMW is wide. I'm shocked he didn't get into the dirt. But he is right behind the Lexus, and Mead is struggling. Mead struggled earlier when he had to fight the BMW, and the BMW did eventually get by. It took like 8 laps, though. This time, Jay Caesar is trying to make it happen nice and early. He looks to the inside in 2. He's going to back out. Trying to have a smoother run out of turn 2. Now they get to this turn 3, kind of, not really a flick, kind of like not really a chicane, more like a flick. He's got the draft on the Lexus going down the straight. Now the Lexus should have superior straight line speed, but Jay Caesar has the draft. He's pulled up alongside. Is he going to make the move to the inside? He's close enough. He can go for it. Here it comes to the inside for the lead. Jay Caesar hasn't been able to lead any laps thus far today. He blows the corner, and Mead gets back by him. But Jay Caesar has the better run out of the corner and falls right back into Mead's draft. Well, he's definitely close enough to fight with him. And as these two fight, that'll be great news for the Ferrari of Dindu. So we're likely going to see a repeat winner today, but which one is still up to be decided. If Dindu continues to close at a rate of about a second a lap, he will catch Mead. The question is just going to be how bad and how slow is Mead going to be at the end of this race. He's not having a great time of it right now, though, trying to keep Jay Caesar behind him. He is really, really struggling from the pressure of the BMW, who's going to make it side-by-side in the stadium section. You don't want to go side-by-side through here, but Jay Caesar doesn't care. He is pushing Mead to try and take alternate lines. He kind of forces both of them off circuit in the drag strip section because both of them just had such a bad run going through stadium because they had insisted on going side-by-side. Mead slides a little wider. Jay Caesar is a little tighter on the circuit. Drag race down into turn 2. Jay Caesar has the inside line of choice. Mead has to back out. Jay Caesar gets a position. Mead is going to cross him over, but now he's going to be on the outside as he goes through this high-speed turn 3 flick. And it's going to be a drag race down the straight. The Lexus is anticipated to have superior straight line speed, and Lucas is making a stop. So Lucas is on a 2-stop strategy, a medium, soft, by the looks of it. And I think AMS Inductor is playing with them, is on a similar strategy as well. PTG Jay Caesar outside, Mead inside, heavy under the braking now. Caesar tried to get a crossover, but Mead was just slow enough that he couldn't make it stick. Didn't do those now within 11 seconds. As this duo continues to fight, Dindu is closing at the rate he needs to catch Mead at the end of this race. But again, catching is one thing, passing is another. And that is AMS Rambo up the road. He is more than likely going to go a lap down sometime shortly here, because Jay Caesar, I think, is going to be pitting this lap. He's actually gone a little farther than I thought he would on this set of tires. All right, yep, he is coming in this time by. So yeah, he is going 12, 12, 12, 10. So Caesar is going to have absolutely no tire fall off to the end of this race. Also, he'll have more than likely a slightly smaller fuel load to the end, so Jay Caesar is going to be absolutely flying to the end. The big thing, though, is that not only is he going to have to do that, he is going to have to try and overtake multiple drivers just to get back into a top 4 position. Shredder, who is currently in 4th spot, I don't know if he's going to be close enough to get by Jay Caesar here. Jay Caesar's still on pit lane. Here comes Shredder out of the final corner. Again, Jay Caesar has been one of, if not the fastest driver on track, but on a 3-stop strategy, I just don't know how much use you can make out of that. Shredder has already made his final stop, and we know that he struggles with his tires near the end of the tire stint. Jay Caesar is about 6 seconds behind the Mercedes, so we will likely have a fight for 3rd between Shredder and Jay Caesar to the end of this race. The other thing to consider, Mead and Dindu, the gap is at a little more than 10 seconds with about 9.5 laps left. Dindu now is in a position he needs to start closing by more than a second a lap, closer to about 1.25 seconds a lap, just to catch Mead. Again, that's catching, not overtaking. I don't know if he can do it. It'll be fascinating to watch him try. I just don't know if it can happen. If we go off of what the first stint looked like on both of their tires, I would say no, but Dindu's second stint was incredibly strong, but Mead's going to have a better second stint on his tires than first stint as well, so I don't know. I think Dindu can close the gap. He'll probably get within 4 seconds of Mead, but I don't know if he's actually going to be able to get by him on circuit. AMS Rambo is making another stop, so he has basically given up on the single stop strategy, but this also will basically trap him a lap down for good here. PM221 and Ludicrous Speed have caught each other again. Ludicrous on a medium soft strategy, so he is on soft tires that should be able to go comfortably enough to the end of this race, as he is tucked up behind PM at the moment. PM, I believe, is on soft, and he pitted earlier each time, so he's going to be on worse tires than Ludicrous right now. Ludicrous has not taken home a top 5 finish thus far this season. This could be his best chance to do so. Dindu is about 9 1/3 out from Mead, but we're at 8 laps to go. He needs to speed up his rate of closure, and I just don't think he's got it. I don't think he has it in him. My eye is on this fight for 5th, and then I think we're almost guaranteed to have a fight for 3rd at the end of this race. When it comes to the championship fight, though, more than likely Mead will extend his lead over Caesar. Oh, PM drops tires in the dirt. In the stadium section, this is a great time for the Chevrolet to close in, get right behind the Acura, maybe set up a dive into turn 1. Rambo is in the pits again somehow, it seems. So it's gone from bad to worse for AMS Rambo. Ludicrous right behind the Acura. Does he make a move in 1? Not this time. Will he try in 2? Both cars step a little wide, but not excessively wide. In fact, not nearly as bad as we've seen some of the drivers do on solo. PM holds station over Ludicrous. Ludicrous has a tow, though. Closing in on the Acura. Does he dive to the inside into the braking zone? He's making the move. Here it comes. Side by side to the braking zone in the hairpin. PM's got the nose ahead. Ludicrous goes deep. Holds it on track. PM just cuts the grass. He cut in so hard, he just went into the grass and hit Ludicrous in the side and ended up losing a bunch of time by doing that. So Ludicrous now moves into the 5th spot. This would give him the best finish he has had all season long. Gap between 1st and 2nd has dropped to just a bit over 8 seconds, but with 6.5 laps left, I don't see that gap closing fast enough. Mead will have to deal with some lap traffic, though, by the looks of it, because that is AMS Indoctro, AMS Andrew, and NFL Racer ahead of him, and then AMS Rambo, who's already a lap down, also is ahead of him. So Mead will have to more than likely deal with at least 1 case of lap traffic, maybe 2 or 3. And that could slow Mead down a bit, but I don't know if it's going to slow him down enough for Dindu to catch. And again, catching is one thing, passing is the other. I'm more interested in this fight for 5th, although I think Ludicrous has this for good, and I'm interested to see if Jay Caesar can catch Shredder by the end of this and steal a podium from Shredder. Shredder has his best finish thus far has been 4th. That was last week at Spa. He has just not had it. He has been in a position to challenge for podiums several times this season, but this would be his first legit podium finish if he can make it stay. If he can hold it in the current position is in now in 3rd and stay ahead of Jay Caesar. The gap between them is about 4.5 seconds right now. this fight's just about over, but another fight is just about to begin. 8th and 9th position. This is the Dodge of NFL Racer trying to make something happen against that Aston Martin of AMS Andrew. Not quite nose to tail. But Andrew in the Aston seems to be struggling a bit here at this stage of the event. And if these two spend too much time fighting, they will potentially go a lap down to me. NFL and the Dodge seems to be a little bit slower in a straight line compared to the Aston, but he does have the draft, which will help to slightly neutralize it. I think he closes a little bit more mid-corner at the moment. He should have draft from the Aston going down the backstretch this time. He's closing, he's got the draft, but he's not going to be in a position to make a move. Yo, he is! He lunges into one and pushes Andrew out of the racing line. Neither of them have a good run out of the hairpin. Andrew, despite sliding the rear tires from that push, is going to hold station over NFL Racer. And AMS Rambo pulls over to let the leader pass. Now, is he going to do the same thing for NDL Dindu in second, or is he going to try and keep the Ferrari behind? Either way, I don't think it's going to matter. Well, Dindu is closing by about 3/4 of a second a lap. He needs to be closing by about 1.25 a lap at this stage. I just don't see it happening unless Mead runs into some misfortune here. As we again look at this fight for 8th and 9th. I'm also keeping an eye on the fight for 3rd and 4th as Jay Caesar is eating away into Shredder. Dindu gets by AMS Rambo without too much of an issue, but still, he is about 6 seconds out with 4 laps left. You do the math, he has to be closing by 1.5 seconds a lap. There's just no way it's going to happen. He is running down the leader, but there's just not going to be enough time left. And even if there was, I think if there was even just 1 extra lap, Dindu would be cooked, and he would burn his tires up. He's tried to time this crossover as best as he could, but it's just not going to happen by the looks of it. Ludicrous speed is absolutely streaked away from PM at this stage of the race, so Ludicrous is on track for his best finish of the season. NFL Racer has gotten by Andrew coming out of the hairpin. Well, actually, no, coming into the stadium section. Andrew trapped on the outside. NFL is going to sneak by. So NFL getting a little bit punchy here in the closing stages of the race. Andrew tries to look in the inside, but you can't really go side by side heading into the drag strip part. Now, out of the final corner, Andrew has a car that is better in a straight line, so he should have the draft and could make a move into turn 2. Still tucked up behind, he looks to the inside, makes the dive into turn 2. NFL Racer tries to cross over, but Andrew is there, and he ends up hitting himself and killing his momentum, so Andrew goes back to the point. This is really the only active fight on track right now. Jay Caesar is closing down on Shredder, but like the fight for the lead. I don't think Jay Caesar is going to have enough time to make it stick unless Shredder completely falls off. I will say that Shredder has been one of the worst when it comes to managing the tires at the end of the stint. When the leader comes across the line in a few seconds, it will be 2 laps to go, and that will mean that we will, for the first time basically since the Le Mans race, have a race with absolutely no yellow flags. Yellow flags have been a slightly higher occurrence this season than in the past seasons, but it looks like this race, as the leader has now crossed the start-finish line, will have no yellow flags. So good job on the field for that. Andrew continues to hold station in 8th with NFL Racer in his draft in 9th. NDL Dindu has closed the gap to within 4 seconds, but with less than 2 laps to go, the fight for the win is basically over as long as Mead doesn't completely lose touch with the rear tires and start sliding out. Here comes an NFL Racer on another dive, but Andrew cuts him off and will get the run out of the hairpin. Real quickly, I just want to check our leader's tires and our second place driver's tires. 58% wear for Mead right now at the first position. What about NDL Dindu? He is at 59%. So this has now gone bad for Dindu because he is now more worn on his tires than your race leader. What about the fight for third that could develop? Shredder is in third. His tire life, look at this, 60% on that left front. And when you look at PTG Jay Caesar behind, he is at 38% on the left front. So Jay Caesar is absolutely tearing apart Shredder's gap. While Dindu is still slowly closing in on Mead, the fight for the win is over. It is going to be the fight for third, the last podium position that is on offer here. As Shredder's tire is cooked on the left front. He is going to be struggling so much in many of these corners for this last lap and a third here. Gaps within 2 seconds between this duo, and is going to continue to rapidly decay and fall away. If this race, honestly, if this race lasted another lap or two, I think it would be Jay Caesar who would be in a good position. But that, alas, that has not been the case. It is a 46-lap race, or 45-lap race plus 1 pace lap. It's not a 48 or 49-lap race. Gap's down to only about 1.5 seconds, and it's continuing to close. Now it's down to about 1 second. Shredder has lost the plot when it comes to tire life. AMS Andrew currently has station over NFL Racer, but this is the real interesting fight for third, the last podium position. Andrew gets back by NFL Racer. They're side by side, swapping spots on the track right now. Caesar has Shredder's draft as they go down the back straightaway. Your leader, Mead, is on the short chute, heading into the stadium section. Dindu has gotten within 2 seconds of your race leader. Less than 2 seconds, but with just a few corners left, there's just not enough time left for Dindu. Caesar is there, though, behind Shredder. He's only going to have one good shot at this, and that's going to be the 90-degree right-hand bend right before they get to stadium. Here we come! Drag race to that corner as Mead comes out of the final corner and will take the checkered flag for his second win this season. Shredder blocks Jay Caesar. Jay Caesar is going to go on the outside, side by side in the stadium section. Caesar outside, Shredder inside. Can Caesar stick the pass on the outside? No! He goes off! He slides into the dirt! And Shredder somehow is going to pull off a third-place finish, his best finish of the season. Jay Caesar, while he had the tires, he caught Shredder. He could not make the pass stick. Jay Caesar is going to have to come back in 4th position. 5th is going to go to Ludicrous Speed, and that will be his best finish of the season as well. And PM221 is going to come home in the 6th position. AMS and Doctor is going to be 7th. 8th is still a hotly contested fight. This fight for the last 2 running positions on track as AMS Rambo has dropped out, but Andrew and NFL Racer are still in it for this fight, and this could go either way. Andrew slides, NFL Racer slides. Andrew has the position, NFL Racer and the Viper is tucked up behind him. Not a great entry into the corner by Andrew, but he turns it around to a good exit. He is well ahead of the Viper as they go into the stadium section. The Viper is faster through here. Could he try a lunge in the second to last corner? I don't think he's close enough. I think Andrew is just barely going to hold station over NFL Racer. Both cars slide wide in the last 2 corners, but yes, AMS Andrew will come home in 8th and NFL Racer will come home in 9th. All right, so that is the end result. Mead, it looked like it was a rough run for him, but he will pull off that victory. So good job on his part. Real quickly, though, I do want to go ahead and start reaching out to our top finishers here for post-race interviews. And per usual, I want to start with our race winner, AMS Mead. Mead, go ahead, include your audio. Fantastic strategy on the one stop. Barely brings you a win by less than 2 seconds over Didn't Do. What do you have to say about that run today?
That was a very last-minute decision to go for one stop, kind of thing. It was a great race from everyone else. Like Caesar had a great battle there with him. Hate that he was on better tyres than me. I wanted a proper fat battle, but oh well. And then Didn't Do great on his challenging me right at the end. I was sweating. I was pushing like hell. But if he had one more lap, he would have had me.
Yeah, well, sadly, it was only a 45-lap race, not a 46 laps, so nothing properly gone on between them. So with this victory, it's your second of the season. You'll extend your points lead. There's only about a handful of races left. Do you think you have a solid grasp on this championship?
There's never a solid grasp on anything because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, there's a chance of it. We'll see how the rest of the races go. See if I can still turn up to them all at the moment.
All right. Well, either way, great run out there. 2 wins. And this one, you can't say, oh, well, you know, it was raining, it was chaotic, and no one knew what was going on. This was good strategy call, and you just outdrove everyone with your brain rather than your feet. Good job out there. All right, I want to go ahead and talk with our second place finisher, NDL Didn't Do. Didn't Do, go ahead, include your audio. A pole position, you led a bunch of laps today, but in the end, about 2 seconds short. What do you have to say about your run out there?
Yeah, I think it was a good race. Maybe I should have considered a different strategy. And well, I made maybe 1 or 2 mistakes. Maybe I could have been a bit closer, but I think in the end, me just ran a good race, did what I had to, and yeah, happy with second still.
All right, so a win at Spa, a second place here. There's still a few more races left on the calendar. Do you think there's anywhere else you can steal a win?
Well, yeah, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully I can close the season out well, get at least 1 more win. And yeah, let's see if this is try a challenge for the title, see how close I can get.
All right, well, great job on the second place finish. One spot away from the top, but heck, still a pretty solid run. And now I want to go ahead and talk with our third place finisher, SRD Shredder. Shredder, it's taken over half the season, but finally, for the first time in years, you are on the podium again. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
Oh, well, the Spa setup worked somehow when it really shouldn't have. This jelly suspension the hell out of it, and somehow they got me a real good bunch of pace. I think I was one of 2 people in the field that managed to do the soft strategy the entire time. Everyone else did mediums at least once. And yeah, if Caesar hadn't had that sim switch in the stadium section, he definitely would have got me at the line. I had nothing on that far lap to defend with.
Well, you finally pulled it off. You finally got a podium. We've seen you incrementally improve your finishing position as the season has gone on. Still 2 more steps on the podium. Do you think you have a shot finishing second or first in any of the remaining races?
It depends on luck. I mean, of the tracks coming up, like Road America, I'm competent at. And then maybe Nord could throw something up as well, but I'm not going to aim for the win. I'm just going to aim to doing the best I can amongst the 3 people that are clearly better than me.
All right. Well, either way, mate, it was a podium, and it's a podium that you've not sat on for multiple seasons in IESC. Despite the one who runs the series, you've not been on a podium step in the last season. I don't think you've been in the podium positions in the GT series since at least 2021. So great job on finally breaking that long dry streak.
Hey.
All right, I want to go ahead and talk with our 4th place finisher, Jay Caesar. Caesar, go ahead, include your audio. Very interesting strategy. You committed right away to soft, and you were legitimately one of, if not the fastest person on track for most of the day. Just came up short of a podium position. What do you have to say about your run out there?
Yeah, it was a good run overall. In the testing, I actually had time this week to run a total of 3 different strats. And interestingly, the one-stop strat was actually slower, but I was using like AI for the rubbering in of, to simulate a race. So maybe that's a difference there. But I thought I'd be closer to the front with this strat here today, but it didn't work out. It's what it is. But it was a good run. Shame about the little twitch at the end there, trying to get it around the outside of Shredder. That's literally the first sim twitch I've probably had in a competitive race for a very, very long time.
Well, 4th place finish here. Sadly, the gap in the championship's going to open up quite a bit. But still, looks like you're well on track to take home 2nd in points. Still looking for that first win. In any of the races left in the season, do you think any of them could potentially be a victory for you?
I don't know. It will depend on a few different factors. Obviously, the main one being if the game plays ball. If that all works out, then maybe something like Road America would be a good circuit for the BMW. It's able to keep good momentum. It has a decent high-end speed, and it flows well. So I think something like Road America might be a good shot.
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to your results there. 4th place finish. Obviously, I think we all agree that you probably had pace better than that, but you put on a heck of a show today out there, man. Cheers to that. And now I want to talk to our 5th place finisher, Ludicrous Speed. It has been a long fight, but finally a Chevrolet is going to put themselves in a top 5 finishing position. Your best finisher of the season. What do you have to say about your run out there today, Ludicrous?
I was just about to say, it kind of feels like a little while since I've been in this party after a race, right?
Yeah, you can say that again.
Yeah. So, just basically, doing what isn't broke, why fix it? Just start on the mediums, hit them at the end with the softs, just let them get around you and play the cards the long way. Once I started seeing, especially PM, by the way, great battles with PM all season long, especially last week. That was a better fight than whatever the hell Tyson versus Paul was.
Yeah.
And once he started struggling, really falling off the pace those first 2 stints, I kind of had an idea, okay, I got this guy. I just got to make one more clean pass. And ended up working out in the hairpin. I didn't plan it to be on the hairpin. I wanted it to be elsewhere, but the door was open. I made it stick and just took off.
All right. So with finally getting a 5th place finish, I do have to ask, you're pretty much the main representative for Chevrolet. Your results have not been great for most of the season. Do you think the problem is with the car? Do you think the problem is with you? Do you think the problem is something else? Because normally we're used to you fighting a little higher up. Even in the last season, you're normally higher up the order than where you've been most of this season. What has been keeping you and this car held back in the lower midfield most of this season?
I think it's a combination of things. I mean, one, I don't want to bash BOP, but the Chevrolet is just hard to balanced no matter what league or set or track you're at. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses, just the way it is. Number 2, I'm basically running as a solo effort. I'm not on VER. I've been running the same tune every week because, first of all, I can't tune and I don't have a supplier. And third, the competition here is just insane. I mean, I'm going against guys who I see top 5 in Rivals leaderboards. It's great. I mean, it's great. I don't want to bash anybody. It's great. It gives me a challenge to continue to get faster. I'm faster now than I was at the start of the season, I feel. But those guys, I'm fighting against rocket ships, man.
Well, at least if you're fighting against rocket ships, you're trying to pull up with, not an N1 rocket at the least. So, anyways.
Yeah, I could at least get 90 seconds past the line before something grenades.
Yeah. Anyways, though, great job on the 5th place finish. I do want to say one more thing. This is more directed to Shredder, not as a driver, but as an official. Thoughts on this race overall? Not a big turnout, but as I look down the order, the top 8 are 8 different manufacturers. Is that good? What you were looking for? Bad? Kind of out of your hand? Like what? Because that is something we almost never see. The top 8 in any scenario being 8 different manufacturers almost never happens. And it's happened here today.
I mean, it is really good if not like one manufacturer that's pissing off about most of it, like the M6 in the Bentley last season. What was season 2 OP? The Nissan.
It was the Chevy.
It was
the Chevy and the BMW in the 2nd season of multi-class.
I'm about the 2nd season of GC. When my Fox was in
GT
there,
only.
the GCR just went away.
Good one. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact we've had more than one manufacturer take a win this season, which is half due to Valkyrie not turning up-ish. I think he would have had some pace around here, but yeah, he didn't come in, so we don't know, and he's going to drop a bit further as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing, Shredder. With Lil Caesar missing, also this goes to Ludacris as well, I guess. With Lil Caesar having withdrawn from the series, and now Valkyrie having missed 2 races, you guys seem to be in a fight for what will be 4th overall in the points now between the 2 of you. So I'll keep an eye on that as the season goes on as well.
Can't wait to get vibe checked after the Thanksgiving break when they come back.
All right. Well, with that in mind, that will pretty much wrap up our broadcast here at Hockenheim. Next week is an off week for Thanksgiving, an American holiday, and then we'll be coming back. What is after the Thanksgiving break? Is that Road America or something else?
No, it's a Thanksgiving break, and then it's Road Atlanta, I think.
All right, Road Atlanta. All right, that will be fun to keep an eye on. I always love watching races there. But anyways, until next time, I've been your host, Insane Leader 13. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'll see you guys in about 2 weeks' time. Until then, farewell and goodbye.